239 souls, one plane, and a silence deeper than the ocean. On March 8th, 2014, Flight MH370 took off and was never seen again. 10 years later, it's still missing, and now the world is watching again. This is the story of the plane that vanished. The plane that vanished, MH370, and the 10-year mystery, the ocean won't give back. It begins like any other flight. The departure, routine, the weather, calm. The systems, all green. At 12:41 a.m., Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 lifted off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Its destination, Beijing. On board, 227 passengers, 12 crew, and a Boeing 777 aircraft. One of the most reliable, safest planes ever built. But just 38 minutes into the flight, it disappeared from radar. No explosion, no distress call, no debris, just gone. Air traffic control attempted to reach the plane, no response. Military radar picked up a trace of the plane turning west, completely off course. Then silence, and from that moment on, the largest and most expensive search in aviation history began. But MH370 never came home. The timeline is unsettling. At 1:07 a.m., the final data transmission from the aircraft's ACARS, the onboard data system, is received. At 1:19 a.m., the co-pilot says, "Good night, Malaysian 370, a routine sign-off, nothing abnormal. Less than 2 minutes later, the plane vanishes from civilian radar. But here's where it gets stranger. The military radar, which operates separately, detects the plane making a sharp turn back toward the Malay Peninsula. Then it continues west, flying across the Strait of Malacca. And then it's gone again, vanished from all known tracking systems, not shot down, not reported hijacked, no radio signals, no distress beacon, just silence. In the hours that followed, confusion reigned. Malaysia Airlines initially told families that the plane had safely landed. That was wrong. The search began in the South China Sea, but quickly expanded. When data revealed the plane had turned, authorities shifted focus to the Indian Ocean. Then came a breakthrough, not from radar, but from satellites. Inmarsat, a British satellite company, revealed something chilling. The plane had continued to ping satellites. For up to 7 more hours after it vanished, it was still flying. But where? And here is where the story turns surreal. Because those 7 hours after radar contact was lost, they represent something that should be impossible. A commercial airliner with passengers flying in total radio silence over one of the most heavily monitored parts of the world. Not intercepted, not tracked, not seen. That's the part experts still can't explain. How does a plane vanish and stay vanished? For over 7 hours, MH370 flew like a ghost toward the edge of the known world. And no one, not air traffic control, not military radar, not satellite imaging, stepped in. What was happening on board? Were passengers conscious? Was the crew in control? Or was the plane flying itself? Guided only by code and autopilot, straight into oblivion. And most chilling of all, why didn't anyone stop it? The satellite data created 2 possible arcs, one north toward Central Asia, one south, deep into the Indian Ocean. The southern arc seemed more likely, and so the search moved there. But it was like hunting a ghost across a continent-sized ocean. There were no survivors, no floating wreckage, no black box. Just a flight path traced by silence. What could make a modern aircraft disappear? Theories exploded across the media. Mechanical failure? Unlikely. A total systems failure wouldn't explain the long satellite pings. A hijacking? No group ever claimed responsibility. No ransom. No motive. A rogue pilot? Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah was an experienced pilot. Calm, quiet, professional. But some say he had practiced a similar flight path into the southern Indian Ocean on his home flight simulator. But there's no conclusive evidence he intended to crash the plane. And besides, why fly for hours before doing so? Was it an accident? A struggle in the cockpit? A decompression? No theory fits perfectly, and without wreckage, it's all just speculation. The disappearance captivated the world. Families clung to hope. Conspiracy theorists spun stories. Search crews scanned tens of thousands of square miles of ocean. They looked for oil slicks, floating wreckage, emergency beacons. Nothing. Even advanced sonar mapping of the ocean floor found no trace. It was as if the plane had been swallowed whole by the sea or by something else. It became one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time, and one of the most painful, because the world didn't just lose a plane. It lost answers. For over a year, the ocean gave nothing. No seats, no bodies, no pieces of fuselage. Until It did. On July 29th, 2015, more than 500 days after MH370 disappeared. A piece of debris washed up on a quiet beach on Réunion Island east of Madagascar. It was part of a Boeing 777 wing, a flaperon, unmistakable. It was from MH370. For the first time, confirmation. It was real. It had crashed somewhere in the southern Indian Ocean. The families were devastated. The world watched in horror. But the flaperon brought no answers, just more questions, because it still didn't tell us how or why. Over the next year, more fragments surfaced, beach after beach, Mozambique, Tanzania, South Africa, Mauritius, bits of cabin paneling, sections of the interior, even parts of the engine cowling. Some showed signs of damage consistent with a high-speed impact, but nothing conclusive. No black box, no fuselage, no human remains. The currents of the Indian Ocean had scattered the plane like whispers across the sea, and yet none of the wreckage helped piece together the timeline. None could explain why the plane had changed course, or what happened to those final hours. Meanwhile, analysts returned to one chilling theory. Was the plane flown deliberately to its doom? Of all the explanations, one has lingered the longest. That Captain Zahari, for reasons unknown, planned the disappearance. He knew the systems, he knew how to avoid detection, and he may have rehearsed a similar flight path on a home simulator just weeks before. In this version of the story, the passengers are incapacitated. The crew is locked out, and Zahari flies the plane into the ocean in silence. A controlled, deliberate descent. One that left no floating wreckage, no trail. But there's no motive, no suicide note, no manifesto. His family denies it. Colleagues defend him. And in the absence of hard proof, it's just one more ghost in the storm. Others believe something more sinister happened. That MH370 was intercepted, shot down maybe by accident, covered up by powerful governments. Some point to the plane's sharp turns, the odd trajectory. Why head west towards sensitive military zones? Why didn't military radar respond more aggressively? Another theory: electrical fire. A systems failure that disabled communications, filled the cabin with smoke, and the pilots tried to turn back, but fell unconscious. The plane kept flying on autopilot until fuel ran out. A quiet ghost flight for 7 hours. There are even more speculative ideas. Some believe MH370 was hijacked and taken to a secret location, that it landed, that it's hidden. Others believe it never crashed at all. But none of these ideas can explain everything. Each one answers some questions, but leaves others screaming in silence. Now, in 2024 and 2025, 10 years after the disappearance, MH370 is back in the headlines because something has changed. Ocean Infinity Dash, a private company that specializes in deep-sea search operations, has proposed a new mission. They believe they can find the wreckage. They've reanalyzed satellite data, used improved drift modeling, studied newly found debris, and they believe the plane lies in a narrower, more defined region, a place no one had searched before. Malaysia has agreed. If Ocean Infinity finds something credible, the search can resume. And this time, the technology is better, faster, more precise, and more relentless. There may still be hope, buried beneath miles of cold, crushing water. 10 years later, the pain still echoes. For the families, the loss is unbearable. They weren't given a goodbye. They weren't given a body. They were given silence. A mother lost her son. A daughter lost her father. A world lost its grip on certainty. MH370 became more than a missing flight. It became a fracture in our faith, in control, in technology, in truth. Because if a 250-ton aircraft, equipped with radar communication and modern tracking, can vanish into the night, what else can? And what if we were never meant to find it? To this day, no one knows for certain what happened. We've mapped the ocean, tracked the currents, decoded satellite pings. We've scoured 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor. And still, nothing definitive. It's the biggest mystery of modern aviation. But maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's a warning that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only whispered about and watched from the sky. What do you think? Was MH370 a tragic accident, a hijacking, or something stranger? Tell us your theory in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because here at MindVeil, we follow the stories no one else dares to. We search where others stopped looking, and we always go deeper, beyond the veil.